The generated look-alike slash sound-alike visuals and voices are intended for visual enhancement purposes only. All artists are faithfully represented based on the original published text. Welcome to Rock Buzz. Bumped into ex-Yardbird Jeff Beck, and before I knew what was happening, we were sitting down over a quick cup of coffee for a chat. I hadn't seen Jeff for a long time. Everyone has now got used to the idea that he's left the Yardbirds to go solo. He cut a record produced by Mickey Most, and then deserted England to run around the continent for a holiday. Then out of the blue, he received a message from manager Peter Grant to come back to London to go on tour with Roy Orbison and the Small Faces.
I hadn't played properly for about 3 months, and I only had a week's notice. I couldn't exactly go and do a Donovan, so I had to run round trying to get a group together and rehearse an act, all in a matter of days. The opening night was a disaster. By the time the curtain went up, I knew everything had been done in too much of a hurry for it to work out. I was scared stiff and wanted to run away, but the stage manager was standing in the wings. Then to top everything, the amplifiers went in the middle of the act. It was all too much, and I quit after the first night. My first solo single, Hi Ho Silver Lining, has just been released, but I am dodging radio and television shows and escaping to Los Angeles for a couple of weeks. Don't say you've seen me, because nobody knows I am going.
We then finished our coffees, and Jeff left to catch his plane. I had promised to pick him up at the airport on his return, at the ungodly hour of 7 o'clock on a Sunday. 2 weeks later, I went to the airport to meet a much healthier and happier-looking Jeff. After shoving cases into the back, 26 of the car, we started the drive back to his flat.
Do you mind if we do a slight detour and drop by an old mate's flat? He has been looking after my dog, a 6-month-old pedigreed Afghan hound affectionately known as Pudding. I can't wait to see him again. He is the only thing I have really missed in the last 2 weeks.
What could I do? We headed for his friend's flat. Eventually, many hours and innumerable cups of tea later, we got to Jeff's flat. With a bit of manipulation, we managed to get ourselves, dog, 3 cases, and a paper bag of dog food, bones, and his ball into the lift, and rose to the 11th floor. As the lift doors opened, Pudding leaped out, obviously as excited as Jeff to be home. It was with some difficulty that we opened his front door.
I remembered to leave a note for milk to be delivered today, but I forgot to cancel the papers, and in 2 weeks they've piled up on the other side of the door.
Once in, Pudding explored the flat whilst Jeff leapt around, turning on the heating, the gramophone, checking to see he hadn't been burgled, and unpacking all in the space of a few minutes.
Now the fun starts. I went to the local supermarket this morning. No, yesterday. Oh, I don't know when I last got up and bought an enormous bag of groceries, hence the extra suitcase. So now we can have a breakfast of American goodies.
So saying, he produced an enormous brown paper bag crammed full of cereals, yogurt, jam, a currant loaf, 4 boxes of chocolates, and big cartons of chewing gum. It was one of the best breakfasts I'd ever had. Whilst we ate, we listened to the new albums he'd brought back, the majority of which was Little Richard's stuff. Pudding by this time had curled up in his usual corner. Jeff then got carried away and tried to play hi-ho backwards by moving the turntable around with his finger. Unfortunately, it was too much for a sensitive gramophone, and the needle broke. He nearly burst into tears of frustration, being a Sunday. He couldn't get a new needle till the next day. He soon recovered, though, and I left him trying to decide whether to go to bed and make up some sleep, or to take Pudding for a vigorous walk. At some point in the proceedings, he had told me that now that he was back in England, he was going to sit down and concentrate on getting his new group together and rehearsing seriously with no great panic. He seemed fairly confident of the future and being more than an adequate musician guitarist. I see no reason why he should fail.